Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have something really cool to check out, and it's something that we haven't had the pleasure of checking out for quite some time. We have an iToy model. It has been a long time since we've had an iToy model on the channel. I think maybe the last one was their Dilophosaurus quite a ways back, but we this time have ourselves a Megalodon, and that is pretty darn cool if you ask me. Not only that, this thing is gigantic. It is huge. So much bigger than I was expecting it to be here in person. I did have like some sort of a clue that it was going to be pretty big, especially when it came to paying for the shipping costs of this guy. It was definitely a little pricey, but to see how big it is in person, again, it is very, very impressive. And on top of that, iToy just in general has done a great job on the sculpt and the paint. The paint looks excellent on this. iToy usually has really good paint, so that doesn't surprise me, but it's actually, I think, maybe even a little better than I was expecting as well. So, as always, let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look, and we'll check it out from there. So starting up here at the head sculpt of the Megalodon, you can see straight out of the gate, that is very impressive. And another thing that I actually do like about this, which is surprising, is the fact that although the mouth is open enough to show the teeth, it's not wide open. Something you almost always find for Megalodon models is either like an articulated jaw, which that wouldn't really work in this instance, or a wide open mouth to show the ferocity of the shark. But this time we actually have the mouth only open a little bit, so I really do like that. Definitely helps it to kind of stand out in a sea of other Megalodon figures. But you can see the eye is sculpted pretty nicely. It actually sports like a dark gray and then a black and even a white spot for like that eye shine. The gloss coat on it is surprisingly not as impressive as I would expect, because it looks alive, but it doesn't look quite as alive as it sometimes does when it comes to a eye with a gloss coat, but it does still look really good. That might actually be my only minor critique about this figure. But you can see the nostrils are sculpted here. And the paintwork looks really good. Very nice and naturally applied, very smoothly applied through the course of the figure. When you look down here in the lighter tones of the underside and stuff, it's very nicely painted. And then as you move up, you can see quite a bit of variation of blacks and dark grays and stuff applied to just give it a little variation of color. Another thing that this figure is littered with is injuries. You can see one right here. You've got another one up here. You've got another one above the eye. You've got more as you lead back into the gills, quite a few more, and you'll continue to see that as you move through the course of the model. So again, showing you that this Megalodon certainly doesn't stray from any sort of confrontation, that is for sure. But one thing I really like about those injuries is you can see that there's kind of difference to them. Some of them have just like a pinkish look. Some of them have more of like a reddish look. Some of them don't really have much color at all. So you have kind of like old injuries, like newer injuries, and then very fresh injuries as you move through the figure. So I really like that as well. Like here's one that is clearly healed. It's more of a scar. Same deal with this one. Looks like it's close to being just a scar. So they did a good job as far as that goes. If you look here at the inside of the mouth, not only do you have some extremely menacing teeth, you also have a nice gloss coat for them. You on top of that have like some kind of blood splattered here in the mouth. So even though the mouth isn't wide open, it's not giving you that menacing look. Once you get nice and close and you actually look at the teeth, I mean, honestly, that is pretty darn menacing regardless. Definitely somewhere I wouldn't want to find myself. As you lead back, though, you can see the gills are sculpted very nicely, and again, we have tons of injuries moving across the gills. As you lead down here into the front fin, you can also see, again, more injuries. As you lead out, you can also see quite a bit of very nice, very smooth variation of color leading out through the fins. You can even see like kind of like wrinkles to the skin moving along as well, but like very, very slight wrinkles. Obviously not like impressive like dinosaur-like wrinkles. You could just see just life to the skin, I would say, of the model. But again, the injuries look really good, and there are a ton of them. You continue to see that as you move back here. You've got another one, and then another one back here. This definitely looks like a very fresh injury right there. And here you can really see how smooth the transition is from the darker tones to the lighter tones of the underside of the shark. Moving up here to the top, you of course have the dorsal fin. And again, when it comes to the fine fine detail of the skin of the shark. You can really see, I think, in the dorsal fin how impressive it is and how nicely sculpted this is. And again, more injuries and stuff up there. The entire figure also kind of has a little bit of a satin shine to it, and considering the fact that it is in water, that makes sense. I would expect it to have that genuine wet look. Again, you've got the fin back here with even more injuries, a little bit of a dark tip to that fin, and as you continue to move out here toward the tail fins, you can see we include some injuries even out here. Again, quite a few of them, more really nice variation to the darker tones with grays and blacks and stuff throughout. You also have a very nice curve to the body. You can see the tail curves as you move along. Clearly our Megalodon is in the process of turning right, and you can see the head sculpt over here. Again, looks really good. I actually think the gloss coat really does look quite nice on this side of the eye. I don't know why. It may be even better than the other eye, but you can see again injuries and stuff moving through the course of the figure. As you lead back into the gills, we yet again see a few more injuries, not quite as many as we had seen on the first side. And moving back again, some more slices, quite a few in the dorsal fin of this side. You've got a really big one over here as well, and when you get nice and close, on top of again getting a better look at how nice the actual texturing to the model is, you can really see how highly detailed the injuries are and how nicely painted they are. Again, you move down into the fin, you've got some more injuries, some more really nice detailing, and fantastic paintwork. This is probably, I would say, the best painted Megalodon that I have in my collection. There's just so much coloration that's been added to it, so much really beautiful paintwork, and the injuries, I feel like, just amp up the appeal of this figure a lot. And even on the underside, you can see we don't cease with those slices and cuts and stuff moving through. You do have some on the underside, even the undersides of the fins as well. I don't know if this Megalodon was just recently in a fight with another Megalodon, or maybe even a whole school of other sharks. I'm not too sure, but one thing is for sure, it is definitely an impressive Megalodon. And then the base is pretty cool as well, as we basically just have, you know, what you would expect to see on the bottom of the ocean. I love that there is quite a bit of variation of color, really nice texturing, and you have all sorts of kind of shells and stuff down here. And what I do like about the shells is they've kind of gone out of their way to make sure that all of the shells have a shiny look to them. So that really helps to make those shells stand out. You know, they don't like blend into the background of the base, which is really cool. I even love that when you actually look down on the base, even though it's just like a really nice high quality professional black base, they've given it some airbrushing of like a bluish tone. And if you look from up above, you can see the blues and stuff, helping to kind of give it that, you know, ocean floor sort of a look, which I think is a really cool touch on the part of EyeToy for their paintwork. And again, moving through, the base is extremely highly detailed. You've got a little area that splits open, and that's basically where you kind of put your shark. Again, actually look at that one, that shell right there even includes some like patterning and designing to it, but you basically want to set your shark here. Now I will say, I mean, that's good and bad. It's good because you don't have to have any pegs or anything on the underside of the shark. You don't have any peg holes or anything, nothing really messing up the appearance to the underside. But at the same time, I'm a little worried that maybe it won't stay completely stable on there as it just sits there, and if you have it on the edge of a shelf, it could fall. But I did put it on just before. It seemed fairly stable, so I don't want to say for sure that it's not. I'm just usually a fan of safety when it comes to like pegs and stuff. And then the underside also, again, sports EyeToy and Megalodon, so definitely a really cool base to go with an amazing shark. Now, as I said, it is sitting on there, but you can kind of see how it's wobbly and it's sort of falling forward. You see how it starts to fall? That is my main concern. I don't know if maybe I'm just not putting it exactly in the right spot. I mean, once we get it there, it seems like it stays on there pretty decently for the most part. So I guess maybe that's where we're supposed to put it. I'm not sure. It is sitting on there pretty nicely now. Either way, not my preferred way of applying it to the base because it just doesn't seem super safe, but as long as you've got it in a good spot where it's not going to fall from any sort of a high shelf or anything, I think it should be okay. As far as a size on the Megalodon goes, for a length from the tail to the snout, you are looking at about 15.5 inches, or around 39.5 centimeters. And then for a height from the base to the top of that dorsal fin, I'm actually going to have to get it closer so I can even reach it. Looks like it's around 9 inches or 23 centimeters, but I can't get perfectly close to it to tell. That's kind of like a measurement from a distance. But for a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A human being next to our iToy Megalodon. And you can see it is very impressive in the size department. You could definitely establish that looking at this image again with all of the figures here next to it. It is gigantic next to everybody here. And then to sort of establish a size of our Megalodon, I removed the base and we now just have other Megalodons here to display with it. First of all, we have the Collect A version, which is actually a pretty sizable Megalodon. However, you can very much so see it is dwarfed by this iToy version. We've also got the smaller PNSO version of the Megalodon, which again you can see is puny next to the iToy version, as well as the Papo Megalodon here, also extremely small next to the iToy version. We've also got the recently released How Long Good version of the Megalodon, which you can as well see again, very small. And then the only Megalodon in my collection that I feel like will come even close to the size of the iToy version is the large vinyl PNSO version, which you can see still is smaller than our iToy version. If we actually come up above and I give you a shot from up here, you can see the iToy version still is, significantly larger. It's not gigantic in comparison to the PNSO version, but it is still a good bit larger overall, making it easily the largest Megalodon in my collection. So this brand new iToy version of the Megalodon is honestly awesome. I actually really love this model. Everything about it is just phenomenal, if you ask me. It's a great sculpt, very highly detailed, shows off honestly anything and everything detail-wise that you would want to see that I'm aware of when it comes to a Megalodon. So the sculpt is incredible. Also a pretty nice pose as it's just kind of swimming along, but it looks like it just recently fed with the mouth closed again. I do like that because it's just a little different than what you usually see for a Megalodon model, especially a stagnant version, because normally if you're going to have a Megalodon, it's either got, like I said earlier, an articulated jaw, or it's sculpted with the mouth open. But this time we only have the mouth open a little bit, but you can see again that it does have a bloody appearance, so it looks like it has just recently fed. And considering as you move through the course of the body, it is loaded with injuries and scars, it looks like maybe it may have been in an altercation as well, because it looks like it just recently sustained quite a few injuries. Maybe that's where the blood in the mouth is coming from. Either way, it absolutely gives this a very intimidating look. The paintwork as well is so nicely done on this, whether it be the injuries throughout or just the body color. iToy put a lot into the paintwork of this and made sure to give you a very realistic interpretation of a Megalodon, not just giving it like, a darker tone for the upper side, a lighter tone for the underside. They put a lot of like depth and variation of color into the model to make sure it looks even more lifelike. And then you also have a very nice base. Again, the base is very highly detailed, very nicely painted. A lot has gone into the paintwork of the base as well, and the shells throughout having that kind of satin shine looks really cool. And I really love that kind of blue water effect that they've put over the base, where it sort of gives it the look of like the reflection of water. So as a whole, this is a really nice figure, really nice model. The only thing that's a slight downside for me, in my opinion, would be the fact that it doesn't sit on the base perfectly, but as long as you sit it in a nice spot where it's not going to take a tumble off of a shelf, I feel like you'll be alright. So if you are interested in grabbing this for yourself, I will include a link in the description to where you can do that on Lana Time Shop, because that is exactly where I purchased mine. So make sure you check that link, go grab this amazing Megalodon, and also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.